Hello, welcome to the Whisky Exchange, and I am super excited to have Sophie from Calle 23 here today. Sophie and I were talking earlier, and I reckon we've known each other for about 15 years since Selfridges, and actually I think Calle 23 was probably one of the first tequilas I ever worked with. I had them always listed in the restaurants I worked in, and it was probably for me one of those tequilas that actually kind of got me into tequila, because I think that especially the Blanco is such a deliciously simple, easy style just to kind of really gonna get your head around, especially when you don't really know. I think it was probably Calle 23 and Corlejo, the two tequilas that I first kind of got introduced to, and now have become a huge fan. And Sophie is absolutely amazing, and I think your journey into tequila is super interesting as well, because it wasn't what you were going to do at all, was it?
Not at all, down. No. My dream when I was a kid was to be a biology teacher and then working in oceanography, so in marine biology. So yes, I was not aimed to do this. And then I did work in a research center with yeast and lactic bacteria, with a white coat and, in sterile conditions. So yeah, it's something far away from the tequila industry, we can say it.
Yeah, just a little. And I think because you got into it in a really weird way, because you went to South Africa to do harvest, wasn't it? So grapes, because I mean, you're back when you're French. And so how did you get from France to South Africa, first off, and then South Africa to Mexico?
Yeah, actually and I love your t-shirt, it's beautiful because, yeah,
I'm on that.
But actually it's what your t-shirt has on it that brought me to this world and to South Africa also. So in South Africa, there was this distillery producing agave spirits. So actually, that's why I gave you my heart, was really my way to get deep into this industry and to this beautiful world, because there was this distillery that had problem in fermentation, and one of the two owners was French, and he said, I would like someone specialized in fermentation. So he called my engineer school in France. I just finished my studies myself. I was just coming back from Mexico, from this research center in yeast and lactic bacteria. So when they said when that guy, the owner, one of the owners of the distillery said, we would like someone, we would like a guy that could come, they were like, you should interview that girl actually. But they were like, it's very hard conditions, etc. Well, you should just interview her. And for the little fun fact, as I was playing rugby in the engineer school, that guy thought, okay, she will be like, exactly. So that's why they took me an interview. If not, maybe without that line, I would not be here speaking to you.
Well, really, funnily enough, at university, I played rugby.
Oh, you don't know that.
Brilliant.
Right, so we understand even much better each other now. It's like, yeah, I love it. It's great. And so that's how basically, they interviewed, I got the job, and that's how I left for South Africa in this distillery. So I was knowing only the part of fermentation. The rest was just like theory. So working there, and I could resolve the problems in fermentation, and they asked me to stay to be able to also carry on the rest of the process, basically. And they sent me to France to learn, I call him the wise man, and people were calling him the wise man, someone, next to his pot still. It was beautiful, copper pot still. And he was always like, Sophie, smell and look at there was a little window, on the pot still. Look at these waves. Now is the time to cut. And I was like, I was taking measurement, and that guy was always right. He was always at the right moment, but only with feelings. And it's what I loved. And he really shared with me that love of, first get into it. Your body gets into it, experience it. And from there, I think I could have never work in something else than this, right?
And I love the fact that you've said it so beautifully, and it's what spirits is about, isn't it? It's that the science is always going to be there, and that's so important, and it's there. But it's the art, it's the heart, it's the really the feeling of it that's also just as important, if maybe not more so. Because I think, you know, in our industry, we're so full of people that have so much passion and so much warmth, and, you know, really want to engage, and that's part of that whole kind of process. And, you know, I've learned from people like yourself, John Anders, who's another kind of crazy ass, Thomas, of course, you know,
Yeah.
all these people, and it's all about the passion. And I think that's super, super interesting. So how did you go from South Africa into Mexico and actually found your own?
Yeah. Well, when I was in South Africa, there was one day a guy that called me saying, "Hey, my family and myself, we are Mexican, but I live in the US. We have a family restaurant business, and I'm passionate about agave. Can I come to see what you're doing there?" I was like, "Yeah." So when it's like the 2 days, we never received any visit. We are really in it was a desolation valley. It was in the middle of nowhere, you know, 2 hours drive from the closest airport, and really, you know, there was nothing around. I was the only foreign person to live in the city. You know, it was really nothing. So I said, "Come any day. You don't even have to advise, you know, you just say you're here. I'm here every day because I'm working almost every day to carry on experiments, so no worries." And so one day that guy arrived, it was fantastic, really got nice conversation with him, we became friends. And then he said, "Yeah, the day you come to the US, just advise me." And to make, you know, the story start, his name is Julio Bermejo. And so he just said, you know, family business in restaurant. I didn't know anything about him because at that time, internet was non-existing. It was 2000. Well, it was so little. So no, I had one friend, you know, to write email in Canada. That was another friend from the engineer school. That was it. So when the distillery said it would be great to explain how we are producing in South Africa to our distributor, to our importer and distributor in the US, it's how I did go to the US in 2001. And the 5th of September 2001, so Tommy's, Julio's father, picked me up at the airport and said, "Welcome to America," you know, and it was fantastic. And I was staying with the Bermejo family. And it's when I discovered, you know, well, obviously Tommy's Mexican restaurant and all these tequilas and the passion of Julio, and also all the bar industry. I've never drunk a cocktail before, so it was like seeing people also, you know, getting what I was producing, what we were producing as a distillery, and, you know, being like, and getting some product behind the bar and creating a cocktail, and it was like, because, you know, it was great to see also, yeah, how people were experiencing on the other side. Because when you are at the distillery, you are in your bubble basically, and you do produce what you feel is, you know, it's what's coming from you and the team. But it's amazing to see the result. And actually, it's I got also, there were some people saying, "Yeah, it's great what is produced, so it's agave spirit. We also need a tequila." And I was, when in South Africa, we can't, you know, there's no tequila. Only Mexico can produce tequila. I did live there, you know, with my training, so I have some contact. I can give you, you know, contact, and you can contact them. Because the father of a friend of mine, you know, in Mexico was working in a distillery. And, you know, it was after like maybe 6 months later, people calling me again, "I would love you to help us in our project of tequila." And after a year and a half in South Africa, where, you know, after that, there was some change in the organization of the distillery. And I was, yeah, it's time maybe to move. And I was, you know, bitten by Mexico. Let's go back to Mexico. I said to my family, I think for some 6 months. And then I will come back. And for my parents getting a proper job, you know, so. And well, now my company in Mexico have 17 years, so it makes like almost 20 years. Wow. I'm based there, so no, I didn't come back after 6 months.
Which is just brilliant. And I think, you know, part of it, I think the people that I've found that have sort of fallen into this industry, and I think a lot of us have fallen into this. I mean, like, when we've fallen hard. That's it. It's like, there's only the drinks industry. That's it, nothing else. And you know, like Mexico is such a beautiful place as well. I think you know, there's so much culture, there's so much vibrancy, and you know, I think, and I mean, for now, I mean, with Calle, and of course you do other projects as well. But what for you? What when you sort of started Calle? What were you like? What was your goal? What did you kind of say? What kind of tequila you wanted to make? You know, what kind of made you, what makes Calle for you stand out?
I deeply love the plant. Well, it's something also, and you know, the smell of the plant. Since I'm kid, my parents first thought I had a problem because I was spending time to smell, you know, that part of the fingers like this. And when you touch things, when you touch it, even, you know, shake hand or do things, your hands keeps all the smell. And to me, you know, the agave smell was this surrounding smell, amazing. And it was, okay, how to really capture that the best, you know, possible in a liquid. So that was the first, I would say, the first driven path. And, you know, there's different region in Mexico when we can, states and region where we can produce tequila. All of them are fantastic. It's a matter of taste, you know, it's there's no one better than another one. The bad part of starting everything from scratch is to start from scratch. The good part is that you can decide what you put into it. And I really love the agave from the island for the spiciness they have, you know, the fruitiness, you know, it's like some peppery notes also. It's, I love that area. That's why it was okay, let's go there. And then obviously I wanted to play with the yeast. Let's not just, you know, you can buy yeast from the industry, but you know, I don't have, you can take, it's not the right tool, right? But it's something like this. You can go on your agave and, you know, you can't see them, but there's yeast all around. And then you get some petri dishes on agar-agar with nutrients, and then you will isolate them. You will retake, separate in laboratory. And then it's just to play with the invisible world. So you put them into airline flask and see what happens. And some will start to bubble well, some will not do anything, you know, and they have great smell. It's not going to be the last smell of your tequila, but it inspires you. When you have a good smell in fermentation, you know it's going to bring good things. So it's, playing with the invisible, and then every step of the process has its keys. And obviously, I'm not alone, you know, there's a team, and it's what is fantastic. You know, Rimadora is also, you know, when they have it, they say, wow, these plants, you know, it's sticking so much on our legs. This one will have so much sugar. And they're right also, you know, they can feel it with how sticky it is on their pants, you know. So it's such a wonderful, well, it's a wonderful word, I would say it like this, but what I love is the detail in each step, because it will influence the following step, etc. And the final product will be different. So that, I would say, is my passion every day, is to understand. And, you know, we still make experiments now with a special edition also, like we did for Criollo. It's great because it's realizing also, there's people understanding, you know, when we do something different, out of track, and there's so many things to play with. So it's like, you know, being an attractive center, you know, like the games, like
like a fun fair.
Exactly.
And I mean, how have you seen the tequila world change over the last 20 years? And where do you think it's going to go? You know, what's going to happen?
I would say that when I started, everybody was saying also, Sophie, you know, it's so difficult, you don't have money. And I don't mind, I'm doing that for, you know, friends and family. And I really thought I would do that for friends and family, you know, like I would continue to give consultancy for brands as I started. And then I was playing on the side with the process and making experiments. And when I did the company in 2003, it was more than anything to resolve problem of exportation of the people I was working with, because we are doing all the process, and then at the time we had to export, it was like, but we didn't declare that thing, so we can't export. And I was, it should not be so complicated to have like a company that, you know, is on sending things on time. So that's how I did the company. I never thought at the beginning to do a brand and to do that, you know, for, you know, a proper thing. But because I was doing these experiments, and with the friends I had from the industry, some of them were like, Sophie, it's good, you should do something with it. And it's how the idea of doing, you know, a small production and be able to share with them started. And that's why when you know, when they asked me for the name, when I had the sample ready, I was, I don't know, you know, because it was even, it could have been, you know, in my sample bottle, it was fine like this.
Yeah.
So it was then like a game to find a name, a packaging, etc. And yeah, that's how basically, you know, everything was put into place. So I don't know if I answer right to your question, or I think I did. Sometimes, you know, I discuss and I lose track. like the colibri behind you, right?
Butterfly.
Sorry. So the question, let's.
So how has the world of tequila changed?
Yeah, sorry for that. So at the very So at the very beginning, yes, it was this more bigger, you know, company or families, and there was already amazing brands, you know, driven by families, but it was like fewer actors in the industry, and let's do Blanco, Reposado, Añejo, and some extra Añejo, you know, like this. And with the time, we started to see also, you know, and actually more recently, people like Thomas Estes, as you mentioned also, you know, because we started together. When I showed him my bottle printed, he showed me the design he had on Ocho, you know, and it was two numbers, very similar color. We were like, okay, we know nobody copied on the other one. It's fantastic, you know, and I love what he's doing, and I love so many other producers, you know, the evolutions that we could see recently. And where it's going to go, well, some tracks, I don't know if it's really for the product or for the marketing. It's what maybe today some producers are listening too much to, you know, the consumer wish and thinking, okay, this idea will sell, so we should do it, rather than, okay, we do an experiment. Is it really what we want to share? But again, there's, you know, it's a space for everyone. I don't want to criticize, but what I do hope is to continue to respect the plant and to respect the process, and because it is, you know, it's Mexico, it's a plant that has spent so much time, you know, in the ground, that we just don't want to transform it into like a vodka, you know, or something like this. Vodka is fantastic, but it's made with, you know, ingredients that doesn't take so long to grow. And to be, you know, as neat as possible. In tequila, we expect the product to have all these agave, all these flavors around it. So yeah, the industry is going where everyone wants to go, and as well, it's what makes life interesting, you know. We are all different. Yeah. But yeah, it's great because also small producer can have different ideas and release like a very small production with something they just thought, or, you know, parcels they liked, or an idea. And yeah, I do hope to see more coming soon.
And I think that's what's so exciting about tequila and actually mezcal at the moment, is that I mean, there are so many out there now. I mean, every day I get approached by someone, but you know, I think you're right. The heart of the tequila has to be agave, and you know, for me, actually, the closest thing to grapes is agave in terms of the way it translates the soil and it translates the flavors of the place and the plant, and you know, so for me, when I taste some tequilas that I don't feel that, I feel cheated, because you know, I want that terroir, I want that sense of place, and that's me. You know, I'm a wine girl, so you know, I want terroir. But you know, I think it is interesting how everything's changing, and sort of, yeah, the market's going to be very, well, of course the American market is a huge driver, but I'm really excited about what's happening in the UK at the moment with tequila and mezcal, because I think, you know, that people are really taking it to their hearts finally, and I think all of us have been saying it for so long. We're like, come on, come on, UK. So if you were going to, okay, how do you like to drink your tequila? Because I think a lot of people are afraid of tequila because they just think it's a shot. I did it when I was a kid in school, and I've been sick because of it. And I'm always like, no, don't think of it like that. So how would you recommend people, once, maybe start getting into tequila, and then maybe two, kind of couple of really nice little easy ways for them to try and drink it without kind of feeling too like that they're drinking a shot?
First, they should have the will to smell the tequila. If they don't feel like smelling the tequila, then they will not want to drink it. And then they should not do it. They should just, do something else and let it for another day. So, but sometimes, in tasting, people are like, no. I'm like, if you do this phase before, don't do it. Why would you hurt yourself? Why don't you smell it first? And then these people start to smell it. It smells great. Can I taste it? Go for it. So it's really having this approach of smell is first. And if you start tasting before you smell, you don't have the full experience. So it's really, what do you smell? And you don't have to translate that into words or anything. Nobody has that. And I'm not, for example, a good person to describe in words what I'm smelling or tasting. Myself, I see, like pikes. I have like feelings. I can, it's a sensation that I get. So you just get your own sensation in smelling, and then you just take a little sip just to get your mouth used also to the high spirit level. It's not wine. We are speaking about 40%, or sometimes, or like the criollo is almost 50. Just take a little sip. So, it goes into your mouth, and then the second sip will give you the full experience also. And again, don't try to get, it's your feeling, enjoy it is the most important. And then if you want to keep it, longer in your mouth to get all the flavor, or you just, swallow it and see what it does. We can have many ways of tasting. And as well as wine, many people will oxygenate their glass before. I like to do it because then I have all the sensation, but I like to do it, but then I wait a little bit before I put my nose. Because if not, you're having, it's coming onto you. And if you're not used to smell spirit, maybe you should not do it neither, because it's going to remove a lot of the character. So and giving a lot of strength. So to make it simple, smell it, enjoy it, and if you wish to drink it, and then feel what it gives to you. And it's you will have this agave character coming, and then according to the process that the distiller will do, the producer will do, it will develop, it will follow, and have different experience, different side of the agave coming through. And we are all different. We were all grown with different food habits.
Yes.
So we will have different experience. And it is right to feel something different than the person sitting next to you or standing next to you. And to me, the glassware used to do a tasting is so important. You just mentioned it. If obviously, I don't know well, but we all know this shot glass. If you give a tequila in a shot glass, first, the smell will be very narrow. It doesn't open. So it's very difficult to smell a tequila in a shot glass. So, and when you get a shot glass, what do? You're like, okay, I have to do it. If you give the tequila in another kind of glass, I can take one that I have one. So
yeah, I mean, we
well, I have a shot glass. So actually, I have
perfect measurement.
not the thinnest. Yeah, you have good glasses with you. So that's okay. We give this, and then according to some different kind of glass, you will have different experiences. For example, I like this one to do tasting. Yours is even better. But it's according to the glass, and you can have your different experience. So if you want to taste tequila, recommendation is ask maybe the bartender, can I have this other glass behind and not in the shot? And great, and he's going to understand you want to sip it.
Yeah.
So that,
And sort of, what's your favorite cocktail? Do you have a favorite cocktail with tequila?
Yes, I do.
I love Tommy's margaritas. I'm like all over Tommy's, just classic.
This is my answer. It's to me, it's a magic cocktail for tequila. It's simple. It's with Mexican ingredients. So it's lime, agave nectar, tequila. What else? Nothing. It's just, then, just shake it, and then that's it. I could see it in my family. First people are like, also, you know, your uncle or something like this. They will be like, okay, tequila, you know, I'm not so keen. You give them a Tommy's, wow, and then they will want to taste also. Hey, can I taste the tequila on its own? Of course, you know. And it's a fantastic drink.
And I think the nice thing about a Tommy's is that you can still taste the tequila. You know, I think anything I want to drink like that, I still want to drink a tequila. I want to taste the tequila. And, you know, that for me is super important. And that's part of the whole experience of the cocktail. And so, you know, it's just like, it gives you that sort of, you know, and there's such, I think good tequila, it's such a difference. I mean, people always like, I always say good tequila won't give you a hangover because it's so natural and it's so pure and it's great, you know. And I think, not that I'm suggesting anyone drink aware people with, you know, good tequila is like good wine, like good champagne, like good sugar cane, you know, it's what you take, the less is more almost in a way, you know, the less you take out of it, the better it is.
Exactly.
And if you weren't drinking tequila, what would you drink?
Well, as a French person, I was, you know, raised with, you know, putting a finger in the wine glasses. But it's true that today, or maybe it's because living in Mexico, it's not the right, you know, conditions. It's true that now I drink only, you know, tequila and cocktails with tequila, I can say it. I love mezcal too. It's, I really enjoy tasting, you know, you can find behind also with the process of cooking and the different agaves and the fermenting. Well, there's so many things to also explore that it's a fantastic, you know, to me. Well, I'm saying mezcal, but it's raicilla, bacanora, sotol, tusca, all these agave spirits that everyone brings something different. So it's a fantastic family.
Yeah.
And I'm in love with it. It's.
I love it.
Maybe I'm staying too close, but I enjoy also. My family is quite big whiskey drinkers. My parents, since you know, I'm young, it's their pleasure, you know, at night or during the weekend. So it's it's also a spirit I really enjoy.
I think it's, you know, I always try and say to people, if you like, say, a whiskey, try a reposado. You know, if you like a gin, try a blanco. You know, I think with people to try and get into tequila, it's trying to take something that's slightly familiar to what you know and then play within that sphere. You know, like I love tequila and tonic. You know, I'm bored of gin and tonics. Tequila and tonic, super easy, fresh, light, squeeze a lime, happy days. You know, it's a perfect summer drink. And you know, if you want to sit and sip something, a beautiful reposado where the oak's really balanced. And I mean, Calle 23's repo is probably one of my favorites because it's just that balance between oak and the fruit. And the agave is so well done because, you know, sometimes with añejos and things, I find the oak a little too dominant. But, you know, I think, you know, there's so many different ways to drink, to play around with agave spirits, full stop. And I'm 100% with you. I'm definitely rum and agave spirits are my two favorite categories, which kind of kills everyone on Whiskey Exchange because they're like, what about whiskey? I'm like, yeah, it's okay, it's pretty good, but hey.
Why don't we change the name for Agave Exchange?
Yeah. Agave Exchange, rum exchange, and wine exchange.
Exactly.
No, Sophie, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And, you know, it's so nice to catch up with you after all this time. And, you know, I would just say to everyone, go out, try Calle, because it is an absolutely fantastic tequila. And I think it embodies who you are. You know, it's super elegant. It's got lots of fun and it's perfectly balanced. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for welcoming me and for your, you know, legendary good vibe. And thank you for existing because it makes the world better, you know. Really.
Next time, we're going to go watch a rugby match together.
Yes. I'll bring the bottle of Criollo and we go together.
Hey. Thank you, Sophie.